This sample APA paper was extracted from the University of Washington. To begin, the very first thing from this paper is the title page. And as we can see here on the top right, the very top right, we have this element, which is the running head. And in the running head, it's pretty much a shortened version of your paper's title, followed with a Roman numeral, which is your paper's page number. And one thing I didn't know about the running head is that there's actually a character limit. And I didn't know that it cannot exceed over 50 characters, which includes the spacing and punctuation. The next element is our title. And the title is actually centered in the upper half of the page and is in both upper and lowercase letters, and it alternates depending on the keywords of the title. So in this case, the title is Can Medication Cure Obesity in Children? Review of the literature. Beneath the title comes the author's name, which has to be first name, its middle name initials, and last name. Beneath the author's name, I at first thought that there would be some type of institutional affiliation with whoever the person is writing with, but in this case it doesn't show it. But I am assuming that in our case we would have to put what institution we're attending. So in my case, it would be California State University Fullerton. And in this case, it doesn't have it, and we could just assume that it's there. Beneath that institutional affiliation would be the class you're writing the paper for and section, as it's shown here. And beneath the section comes a professor, and beneath the professor would be the due date of the paper. The next part of this paper is the abstract. And one thing I notice here is that there's an indentation there's an indentation in this paragraph. And this is what kind of baffled me. I wasn't too sure if indentation is necessary or actually required in the abstract, but this is something I'd have to research more to see if it's needed or not. But simply in this abstract, it's a simple paragraph that consists of a concise summary of the key points within your research. And as always, the page header is always here, along with the page number in Roman numerals. Also, about the abstract, it is to be started on a new page. The most important part of a paper is obviously its body. And so one thing that APA format is all about is that all text should be double-spaced and the usage of 1-inch margins. And there's also indentations on all paragraphs. And as always, the text must be centered on the page. The font should always be 12 point, the font size should always be 12 point throughout. And the font itself is, as usual, Times New Roman. One thing that is new to me, since I hardly ever write APA format papers, is this footnote here. And it says that the writer uses a footnote to define an essential term that would be cumbersome to define within the text. This is something that is very new to me and is actually really intriguing, and I might possibly even use it for one of my papers. Another important aspect of an APA paper is citations. And in APA, it allows for two different forms of in-text citations, which are parenthetical and narrative. And both of them actually just require the author's name and the year of its publication. And the other difference is that the way that this information is actually presented to the reader. So in this case, this author is using parenthetical citations. So they would continue the sentence, cite the source, cite the quote, and at the end use its in-text citations, which is right here, Henry J. Kaiser Family Foundation, the author, and the year of publication, and what page that quote is from. One thing that I found while reading this sample paper was this part right here where it says Avs Burdoff et al. And I actually researched that to see what the point of that citation was. And it's actually used when there's 3 or more authors listed in the source entry. So that's something new to me that I've learned, and definitely be implementing that with when I have a source that uses 3 or more authors. And last but not least, we have the reference page. And when creating a reference page, it does have to be in a fresh new page, and the heading does have to be references, and usually it is centered and bolded. And when it comes down to the references, it must be alphabetized and double space all the entries.